Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable audience, distinguished guests, distinguished speakers. I am Syed Mohammad Tanveer, Managing Director of Pacific Jeans. I'll be moderating this session today. I have a wonderful panel of speakers here, a wonderful panel in a way that from a customer, factory, textile, and also policymaker. So we have a great panel and we look forward to a great discussion today. As we will be discussing about what steps Bangladesh should take to lead the global apparel industry by 2030. Now we are in midst of a situation where the short-term and the long-term visibility is, I would say, a bit cloudy. But definitely our industry is very strong. And as we know that it's growing every year. So in this situation, how we look forward to our industry by 2030 and what would be the growth map, what is the roadmap towards this growth? That's the discussion point today overall. So to start with, I would like to start with Zia Bhai. First question to you would be, H&M has been very, very committed to Bangladesh, sourcing from Bangladesh, and H&M has played a very important role in developing the factories and in terms of compliance and also innovation, efficiency. So my question to you would be, what specific commitments and improvements would H&M like to see for Bangladesh RMG sector to secure its position as a leading global sourcing destination by 2030?
Thank you so much. Thank you. First of all, congratulations to Bangladesh Apparel Exchange and Denim Expo for their 7th edition. The continuous journey, despite all the challenges that has been continued, is a great work has been done. So big thanks to Mr. Mustafis and the whole team. It's a very interesting question and I think very appropriate at the same time as well. It's an industry didn't born yesterday. It's a 4 decades old industry, so it's a mature industry. So that immediately tells us that we need to act as a matured way as well. So obviously, I think obviously there is a lot of development happened last 3-4 decades in Bangladesh in terms of the industry. But one part, I think we are still far away, and that is the relationship between the labor and the owners. I think it has quite a big gap. I really see that, and that's why maybe when there is an unwanted situation like unrest happen, when somebody have a demand, somebody have a grievance, instead of collectively talking each other, it ended up in somewhere. And then obviously you have element from outside that fuel to the next level. So I think one of the commitment I want to see that if we can settle in the table, I think it's very, very important. So that's very important for me, I would say. The second thing, commitment I want to see from our brand perspective, that instead of a transactional behavior to a more strategic approach. And in that case, transparency is very, very key. For example, we stop auditing any of our product because we start working with our suppliers for a very long time. So we create partnership. We just simply don't do the shop around. And by doing that, we create a relationship where we can trust each other. And if you do the transactional, every day is a new transaction, but when you do the strategic, you kind of become a partner. Generally, when you talk each other, usually we tell our supplier, oh, you're my partner. But then I send 2 auditors, one announced, another unannounced, to audit him. Are you really my partner? I don't think that works. So I think that's another word, because we want to graduate from a LDC, to a middle income country. We need to think about the graduation as well. I think our mentality should be on the other level as well. So I think this is where transparency, I think, is super important. By the way, we improved a lot. So that doesn't mean that I'm painting a very dark picture here. That's not the case. I think transparency, we improve a lot. I will refer the European due diligence law that has been kick-start. And this is where I think once it is implemented 100%, we will simply not be able to ship around goods here if we don't comply. So it's quite important, actually, the transparency and taking own initiative. And another part, I think, invest on middle management. It is really, really important. The reason why I mention it, the mid management, I would say a little story, very casual. So one of our factories, we start working with the IE. And then you have 30 years old experience, like my age, experience in the factory, who run the factory like anything. Is the top-notch executive in the factory. But a new IE guy came who just passed and probably did some internship, and asking him to change the process. He said, you know better than me, I'm here 30 years. And I think that's the problem, you're there for 30 years. Because you didn't change yourself. I think this is where I think the mid-management in our factories, they lose authority because of the seniority. And we have traditionally, it's a beautiful culture. And I'm a Bangladeshi, by the way. You respect your seniors, you learn a lot from them. But at the same time, it has a little stigma that this is only one way. It can be other way around as well. So this is where I think a big change can happen. And another part, I think, is to embrace technology. A lot of technological advancement happen in Bangladesh, especially on the machinery side. But then, if you talk about innovation, this is where we are really, really behind. Couple of factories I can name. One of them is Pacific as well, that where product development is the best. But if you look at the, in general, supply chain, the weakest merchandiser is their R&D. Because merchandiser count the LC and others, his respect level in the factory is very high. So this is where the mid-management connection happen. I think the innovation and the product development, we are really behind. When I talk with, let's say, suppliers in Turkey, when I meet with them, they never tell me, Zia, tell me what I need to, what I need to do. It is opposite. Opposite in a sense, he or she will bring a bunch of clothes, samples, and other they'll say, your competitor have this product, H&M doesn't have it. The game, it is immediately changing. And when you meet our supplier, they'll say, Mr. Zia, tell me what you need to do. I will do it. The conversation start exactly opposite. I think this is because it's a lacking of the development of the mid-management, and we didn't connect the innovations and others. So I think these are the couple of expectations. Probably tip of the iceberg, I can write 20. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Zia bhai. We have a wonderful insight. So if I sum up your discussion, it's about the trust, of course, partnership, the mid-management training to develop the mid-management, and also invest in product development. So definitely these are very important points to proceed further. Now I would like to come to Mr. Shaukat Aziz Russell Bhai, President Bangladesh Textile Mills Association and Managing Director, Amber Denim Mills Limited. Russell Bhai is a very respected leader in our textile sector and one of the pioneer in denim mill industry. He has gone through a lot, and now I would like to know from you, Russell Bhai, that looking forward, what do you think is the challenges at this point of time of our industry, especially textile and RMG, and how do we overcome this, and what is our expectation from the government and the stakeholders to go to that level?
Thank you, and good afternoon to you all. Okay, to start with, I represent BTMA, Bangladesh Textile Mill Association. And it is a combination of fabric, yarn, dyeing. And we have investment in the sector and about $22 billion investment we have in the sector. And we directly support our forward integration, which is RMG. So if I am to say where we are heading, which is exactly what you want to know, we have grown very well, I believe, especially in denim sector. If I'm not mistaken, we produce about 55 million yards a month, right, Hassan? Near about 55 million yards, which is fantastic. It has only happened in the last 15 years. I have not seen such big growth in such short time. And going forward, to take this to a next level, which is your question, we need uninterrupted power supply. We need uninterrupted gas supply, because if we are dying and then the gas drops, your entire batch is wasted. So that is something where we need to focus. Labor is a problem, and I think we have learned to live with it. We are okay. It has been always part of our life. They're not all that bad, just only a handful of people who are always creating nuisance. I wouldn't worry so much. But right now, the country is going through a crisis, a regime transformation, so we have to put up with this for a short while. I believe it will end very soon. So if, before, I think if I could mention a few names, Sasha, yourself, Pacific Jeans, and few others. There are only a handful of people doing denim. But right now, we have many people, many factories doing denim, fabric as well as RMG. So the number has gone bigger, which means they can share knowledges, ideas. They can come up with new designs. So going forward, I only see good prospect, and that is where I stand. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, when we talk about 2030, sustainability is something which is very, very important. Now, my next question to Mr. Abhishek Nath, Country Director, Lidl and Kofland Asia. So, my question to you would be, as a global retailer, what expectation does Lidl have for Bangladesh apparel manufacturers to meet ethical and sustainable standards? And how can this strengthen Bangladesh's market position?
Thank you for having me on the forum, first of all. Thank you for Mustafis Fai to push me onto the stage, because I'm not too much of a public speaker or a public person. It's an honor to be here on the stage. So first of all, if I reflect on the industry in Bangladesh, I think to a very large extent we are ethical. Yes, we had a low base to start with, but if I look at the progress that we have made over the last decades, and having the largest amount of green factories in the world, right, without a very calculable return on investment, already shows that from the entrepreneurial community, there is a great zeal, right? Because retailers might like this, right? Do they pay for this? This is something which is uncertain. And at the same time, we have the largest number of green factories in the world. So there, I think, is an entrepreneurial zeal to be sustainable, right? So I'm working for Lidl and Kaufland. We are a large store retailer. 90% of our business is food, 10% of our business is non-food, and a very small part of it is textiles, right? So the standards that we have are generally derived from the ILO, the UN Charter, and the Paris Accord. So they're generally food standards, and we also adopt a lot of textile standards and the general standards that we have for textiles. And how do we help as a retailer? Definitely, we have expectations of our suppliers, and the expectations are generally grounded in belief and trust, like Zia Bhai pointed out. And what a big advantage we have in Bangladesh is that retailers like H&M have set the ground very well for expectations that the industry, the buying industry in Europe has in general for a factory. And we sometimes have to only follow the standards because the standards are so high, right? And I think working with Europe is going to be tougher in the next years, right? Because conditions are getting tough, and just as a part of competition law, European retailers have to ensure that a manufacturer in a separate geography other than Europe also has to take care of the environment the same way as they would in Europe. Otherwise, it would disadvantage European manufacturers financially. So we have the EU deforestation law, we have the Green Deal, there is talk about, we already have a supply chain law, there is a talk about another stricter supply chain law, right? So it is inevitable that we prepare for the change, that the industry needs to be transparent. The industry needs to be transparent in many more steps forward than it is now. Are we ready for this? To a large extent, our practices are ethical in Bangladesh, and we always do not work perhaps with the best suppliers, right? All suppliers are good. I do not mean it that way, perhaps with the largest suppliers. But everywhere we go, we see that there is intent to do well, right? I think what we expect from the policymakers is perhaps more support to take this forward to the other industries, perhaps the ones who are not the largest, to create an IT platform, to create education, right? And to really bring it also to students through something like the BUFT, right? That they live sustainability, that they understand sustainability. People in the nation have a lot of passion for it. And I'm sure we make that transition. We make that transition very well. We have overcome all hurdles. I do not see it to be a problem. And we are there to support as a retailer always.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So now I would like to come to Mr. Manish Chauhan. So we've heard from our customers' expectations, what they want. Now from a factory side, as a leading manufacturer, what steps is NoiseGene's taking to incorporate sustainable practices and meet the expectation of international buyers?
Thank you, Tanveer Bhai. Good evening, everyone, and very big congratulations and thanks to Mustafiz Bhai for organizing such a wonderful event and his initiative for keep doing it every alternate months, or just for the betterment of Bangladesh, for the brand image of Bangladesh. Whatever he is doing is amazing thing, and we all are here to support you, Mustafiz Bhai, on your initiatives. So Tanveer Bhai, our sustainability things, just the one word, but the moment you see behind it, it's endless possibilities, it's ocean. And no one still know what to do, how much to do. But end game is simple. It should be all zero. It should be all net zero. That is the end game. So we know the destination. Now everyone is working on their own resources to define the process, how to achieve it. And we are very glad to say that by far we are quite successful in achieving a lot of goals of sustainability towards the end game, which is net zero. So I'll give you in details, little technical, because when you ask, because I don't want to be very, summary-wise theoretical. I want to go in depth and little bit technical. Might be boring, but it's important. So we are working on all the main areas to make a garment sustainable. What we do, easiest thing to do is the raw material, which is very easy for everyone, and maximum leading brands are able to achieve it. Because very simple, use recycled product, mix with some more green fibers like tencels, you make it sustainable, correct? So we are working on that raw materials. So number one is recycled, then definitely tencels, and now we are coming up with the new product line for next season is plant-based fibers. So our goal is to replace 50% of eliminate 50% of the cotton from our entire range, which will save huge water. The reason is when you grow cotton, you are almost consuming 300 liters of water to grow 1 kg of cotton because of flood irrigation in entire world. So our aim is to replace all the styles with reduce 50% cotton. And we create already the product line. At our show, we have that line also available to see and see the feel too. where we are using almost 25 to 30% of the reprocessed products from the waste, and another one is plant-based waste, which is basically banana and pineapple, which we are working on it. So this is number one. And just want to add one more thing. The sustainability, how we are treating sustainability for us is how we can change the way of working. Because anyone can do sustainability. Today all the process is available, but it's all about at what cost. So our concept is whatever we are doing is all cost neutral. So whatever we are achieving is a cost neutral. So it's not like the customer need to come and ask, we need this. No, we will give from our side because we are changing the way of working, the way of processes. So that is how we are working on raw materials like pineapple and banana. We made very innovative fibers. We processed it. Fiber were available in the market, but no one is able to process to that fineness and in that price range so that we can replace the cotton. Because if you want to replace the cotton, you need to replace the cotton at cotton price. You can't replace the cotton with a hemp, or you cannot replace with the cotton with the linen by increasing the price. So your product will fall. Then secondly, if we go on the carbon emission, so we are working very hard on carbon emission. Concept is very simple. First, reduce the problem as minimum as you can, and then easy to eliminate. So what we have done with our innovation, automation and all, we have reduced our power consumption by 80% in comparison to other factories. And now we are left only with 20%. So my one pair of denim, I only consume, including washing, stitching and all, 0.35 kilowatt of electricity. And for me, this is now very small. I am slowly going to 0.25 and that's it. Then I'll knock it off with offsetting the carbon footprints. So this is how we are working to make it carbon neutral.
Thank you.
And also we are working on, we created one very innovative product which is a boiler. So this boiler, we are creating one gasification plant from the green fuel, and we will be replacing gas very soon.
Wonderful, wonderful.
And the cost will be half. So that's the main thing. So this way we will make entire energy green.
Wonderful.
And
Great initiative. Great
Yeah.
initiative, Manish.
And the last product, I know it's little time consuming. Okay, I'll just finish it fast. So another thing is what we are doing in terms of, because you know denim is all about washing, which is a crazy product. So much pollution and water. So you already started that Atmos process and all. So that's how we are also doing, but without any cost increase. The way we develop this technology. So we are reducing the load on our ETP by almost like 85%, and then we are making it zero. So this way, what we are targeting by next year, we are making our one factory called Denim Asia as a project that how you should achieve, how we as a collective can achieve a real sustainability, which is all zero. So we are all set by 2025 and to achieve all zero in all departments.
Wonderful.
With all our initiative. And just one more line for Mustafiz Bhai. So we are planning to use all this know-how, all this innovation, and create one setup so that we can replicate in each and every factory. So this way we can enhance the capability of Bangladesh, and what you are looking for 2030, definitely no one can beat us.
Wonderful,
Yeah,
wonderful. Thank you very much. So, my next question would be to Mr. Warner Lange, Coordinator, Sustainable Economic Development and Training and Employment Cluster of GIZ. As we know that, the discussions that we are having, one very important part is our skill upscaling. So upskilling is something which we require. Of course, to do value-added product, we need more skilled resources. We need skilled workers, and that's where GIZ is working relentlessly in Bangladesh. Now, my question to you would be: how can GIZ support Bangladesh's RMG sector in upskilling its workforce to meet the demand of a competitive global market and drive industry leadership by 2030. Now, as we know that GIZ is already doing a lot of projects, but then how do you look at the target of 2030 and what is the roadmap that you have for upskilling a workforce in Bangladesh till 2030?
Thank you for this wonderful question. And where's Mostafiz? There. You called me good friend. We definitely are. But you should know that my first name is Werner. But let me play a bit around with these. Warner has something to do with warning. This is part of our role and function. But the meaning of Werner in German is defending. So as a development cooperation on behalf of the German government, we are, let's say, exactly in between policymakers and implementation. And we are constantly warning and defending in many directions, or mainly in 3 directions. So GIZ is committed to ecological challenges, to economic, and also to social. Quite complex already, but to cut a long story short, especially, exactly from this stage, I made it to some very short wording: comply or die, or in a positive way, comply and fly. And looking back almost a decade to the well-known disaster, I would say we have a decade of first aid, improvisation, but meanwhile we are reaching a level of consolidation, and referring to what Lidl stressed already, the European Green Deal, due diligence, guidelines, these, let's say, regulatory framework from Europe is guiding us along the entire chain more and more. And since we are trying to turn this chain to a circle, I think the level of complexity will rise. And as one conclusion, and this is where we feel ourselves comfortable, is collaboration. Collaboration, aligning the needs along the chain is relevant, and this brings me directly to the question of skills and capabilities. We just changed the description or the wording of the cluster I'm heading. For almost a decade we called it the textile cluster, but as you noticed, we call it now sustainable economic development, and this goes also beyond the garment sector. I think Bangladesh needs more diversification, and we added training and employment. And just this morning I participated in a dissemination event supported by USAID and CARE regarding the needs and expectations of the young population of Bangladesh. From my perspective, personal perspective, I think it's also necessary to have a different mindset. The last Ministry of Commerce explained to me, Werner, our competitive advantage globally is low labor cost. That's it. And this is, we want to make use of this competitive advantage. I responded, why don't you see workforce as human capital? And as an entrepreneur, you of course have a completely different view on cost than on capital. And I think if you really look at your workforce as an asset and you are investing in your asset, you immediately end up with skills and TVET. The German Ministry of, the Federal Ministry of Economic Cooperation and Development heavily increased our budgets on this area. Not only in my cluster, also when it comes to climate change or to renewable energies, we will have almost 30 million projects, which is almost 50% of our activities in Bangladesh, which are dedicated to skills and education. And I think this is a wonderful perspective. but it needs the right attitude. And I think if I'm coming back to collaboration, to warning and defending, connecting the dots, and in combination with the expectations from the regulators, we can smartly link up professions which we should support in Bangladesh. We should first support all kind of professions which are directly linked to comply, whether electricians, whether chemists, whether nurses, whether anything, for example, which is supporting industrial safety and environmental safety, where there we will definitely set a strong focus. So far.
Thank you. Thank you, Werner. Werner, yes. Okay. Now, I would like to ask a question to Mr. Anwar Hussain, our Honorable Administrator, now BGMEA, and also Vice Chairman and CEO of Export Promotion Bureau, Government of the People's Republic of Bangladesh. My question to you would be, Anwar Bhai, what strategic initiatives are Export Promotion Bureau implementing to boost Bangladesh's position as a global apparel leader by 2030? This is the first part of question. That's the question for EPB. But then also, as you are also wearing another hat, my question to you would be that what is your expectation from the future leadership of BGMEA, which will be aligned with the vision of EPB's strategy to boost export by 2030?
Excellent. Thank you, Tanvir. And thank you all. Good afternoon. If I start with the second part of the question, that how EPB would like to see BGMEA's leadership vision aligned with the government or our Bangladesh perspective for, in 2030, how Bangladesh would like to see as, apparel exports in our export landscape. As personally, I believe that garment sector actually in our BGMEA, though Ziabai already said a lot of challenges there, I fully agree. But as well as I believe that BGME or garment sector is just beginning. It's not yet not matured enough, because when I see the, data like global trend is like, when cotton and non-cotton pattern of, trade of garment, then we see that global trend is like 70% non-cotton, while our garments export is, non-cotton export is only 30%. So mostly we have a strong dominance over cotton base. So it's still one area untapped for our exporters and our manufacturers. I believe our entrepreneurs are very resilient. We have some challenges, but I believe that they will come up with more new innovation, and they're already on sustainable path. As another my friend Abhishek Nath, he was saying that, yeah, a lot of in a supply chain or in the sustainability concern, if you see, it is, very well, but for me, since I am new here in this industry, but when I saw the figure, like 230 factories are already LEED certified, and out of top 100 scoring factories, Bangladesh homes like 62 factories. And if we see our competing peer countries like Vietnam, China, Cambodia, they have only single-digit factories over there. So I'm sure that it means that it actually demonstrates how our entrepreneurs are so responsive to the global, initiatives, sustainability drives, and how they are trying to, cope up with the ethical behavior in terms of not only, infrastructure of the facility of the factories, as well as how they're actually dealing with their working force and their, trying to, you know, create an enabling environment for their, working force. I mean, workplace environment. So I believe they're doing really fabulous job. So, and I also saw some R&D initiative, though it is very limited, but I feel that some good companies are also introducing R&D drives. They have R&D drives. And I also surprised to see, I mean, yesterday I was, or probably day before yesterday, I was discussing with BGMA officials, and one lady, Miss Vidya Khan, she is dealing with the switch to circular economy. So innovative and so amazing idea. So I told her that please go ahead and any kind of support. I will personally, support her, and I will try to discuss with all the, industry people. So a lot of initiatives there. And at the same time, when I learned from the RSC, one day the RSC MD, Mr. Abdullah, met me, and he explained me like three cluster of people are in the RSC board, like industry, brand, as well as union. So it also gives some transparency, I mean, lots of accountability, mutual accountability. But at the same time, I mean, this is my personal view, I also feel that brand and, buyers, there should be some mutual responsibility. I mean, all the time when we talk, when we hear from our brand managers, brand or buyers, always talk about like the, supply side, like entrepreneurs or factories should have more ethical behavior in the factories as well as dealing with their workers. At the same time, they also need to have like offer fair price so that they can deal that, every day, I mean, from the buyer side, lots of demand is coming up. But I was just asking with, I was discussing with Mr. Abdullah. I said, I mean, do you have any RSC-like structure in Vietnam or China? They said no. He said no. I don't know, probably they have some accountability measures or instrument over there. But I feel that sometimes in our country, I mean, our media is come up with, I mean, very, some bad news is so, flourish in our media, so highlighted. I mean, we have huge good practices in our factories. We have BUFT, I mean, Fashion Technology Institute over there, or university, right now university. I mean, if you see, we have like 2,500 factories running each day. Out of that, only 4 to 5 factories have some problems. And this is very rational, logical, it could be. Might be there some management problem, some issues that there, local issues may be there, political issues may be there, because they're dealing with the people, 4,500, 5,000 people, and some factories I heard that 8 to 10,000 people are working there. So it is very human. You are not dealing with the machine, you're dealing with the people. So challenges that will remain over there. But at the same time, I feel that mutual transparency and mutual, sort of responsibility should be over there. So I'm taking long time. Later, I mean, in the second round, I can talk about how EPB can contribute. I mean, these people knows about that. But finally, I should say one thing. I feel that we have one thing we have lacking over there, lacking in our industry. We don't have much linkage between academia as an industry. Zia White rightly pointed out that we have very big gap, or big skill gap in our mid-management, where I think if industry and academia can build some partnership and government can facilitate over there, that would be fabulous. I mean, huge opportunity for our young, people, young entrepreneurs. I mean, that should be a good platform or good initiative over there. And if there is any opportunity, definitely EPB will love to take part over there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Anar Bhai. Now, I would like to ask a question to His Excellency Antonio Alessandro, Ambassador, Embassy of Italy to the People's Republic of Bangladesh. But before I ask you a question, Your Excellency, I would like to tell you a very small story. It's the year 1980-81. During that time, my father used to travel a lot because of his other business endeavors. So he used to travel to Italy during that time, in early 80s. And at that time, there was no jeans factory in Bangladesh. So he met Mr. Imario Takela. He was the owner of Carrera Jeans. And it was a big brand at that time, early 80s. And I mean, for other businesses, he met him. And Mr. Imario Takela told my father that, you know, why don't you start a jeans manufacturing company in Bangladesh? I think it has a great future. I'm talking about in the year 1981-82, during that time. And my father said that, this sounds interesting, so let me have a look. So he visited Carrera factory. He loved it. He came back. And then the journey of the first jeans factory in Bangladesh started in 1983. So so for denim industry and Italy it's a great connection. It's a very, very long connection. And my father met Mr. Imario. He was very inspired by him. And that's how actually the journey of denim industry started in Bangladesh. It was the first factory in Bangladesh. And since then it has grown. And now Bangladesh is #1 in denim across Europe, exporter across Europe and US. So this is something unique, and this is very, very emotional for me. So, and Italy has a great denim heritage and has a great innovation heritage as well, in terms of technology, in terms of fabric, washes, everything. You know, so denim and Italy goes hand in hand in terms of innovation. So my question to you, sir, would be, what opportunities exist for collaboration between Italian and Bangladeshi stakeholders in the areas like fashion innovation, design, and advanced manufacturing techniques to boost Bangladesh's global competitiveness, and how we can collaborate more deeply with Italy to achieve our goal?
Thank you, moderator, for this, for telling us this very emotional story. You're right, Mr. Carrera Jeans, very famous in the 80s in my country, and it's a very successful story. And it is true that when we speak about trade between Italy and Bangladesh, that makes me very proud, because it's a successful story. Because, as you know, as factories know, Italian companies are not only large buyers of garment and apparel from Bangladesh, but they are also large suppliers of machinery, technology, innovation, solutions, chemicals, and therefore this makes Italy a full partner of the Bangladeshi textile industry and apparel industry. But let me just start by saying that this is a great exhibition. I've been here in the past. Congratulations to the organizers. My only regret is that most of our companies, because they are small and medium companies from Italy, it's hard for them to come twice a year. So this is, there are problems of calendar that makes difficult for most of the Italian companies to come so often to this denim exhibition. Let me also just say that, that the title of this panel is in a way funny to me, because it says that, what steps Bangladesh should make to lead the apparel industry, the apparel sector by 2030. Well, actually, in my view, Bangladesh is already leading the apparel global sector. So it's a matter of keeping this leadership under an ever-changing world, an ever-changing market, an increasingly challenging market. So how to keep this leadership, that is more the question in my view. and perhaps the question has to do with some lack of confidence by the Bangladeshi industry. Sometimes I have the feeling that you can be more assertive and more confident in yourself, in your capacity, in your resilience. And this perhaps has also to do with the narrative of Bangladesh in the world and in Europe. So let's do something more yourselves, ourselves, to change the storytelling about Bangladesh and present the great potentials, the great assets that you have, and the leadership that you already have in textile in particular. Now, you asked me about what opportunities exist with Italy. Well, it's true that, first of all, let's say that Italy is known for design, fashion, and this is absolutely true. But the main export item of the Italian economy is machinery, industrial equipment. So what can we do in terms of opportunities to continue strengthening this partnership in machinery? And we have launched a proposal here in Bangladesh to set up a technological center, we call it, in Butex, the university for textile, where we can provide and test machinery for the Bangladeshi apparel industry, and also train your technicians, local technicians. So this is one initiative. It's under discussion with Butex and with some divisions of the government, and we hope to move ahead. Then also in terms of opportunities, I will also say that we need to attract more Italian companies and European companies in general, perhaps, to Bangladesh. Investors, traders, how we can do that? We have opened an office of our Italian trade agency, ICE, and we are publishing some reports about doing business in Bangladesh and specific sectors report. One in particular is about textile. These reports are very well made by some experts in Bangladesh together with the Italian trade agency officials, and will be made available to Italian companies in order to attract them to this market. Then, of course, exchange of business delegation. This is also very important. And in last July, again, through the Italian trade agency, we were able to bring 16 representatives of Bangladeshi factories and companies to Milan for a number of meetings and exchanges. This was a very successful mission, and more of them should be organized and should come. And finally, something about the academy. You said that there should be more link, more close relations between the academia and the industry in this specific area. Your Bangladeshi contribution to the value chain is weak from this point of view. So yeah, fashion and design are definitely the two areas where maybe the room for improvement is higher here in Bangladesh, in your textile and apparel industry. And of course, Italian companies and Italian experiences could be a partner in this. So I definitely take your suggestions, and this is something that we should carry forward, cooperating more in design and fashion. So thank you very much again.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Design and innovation is definitely a way forward, and to really have a value-added product to move up to the value chain, we definitely have to invest more in innovation. Now, my next question would be to Russell Bhai, President, Bangladesh Textile Mill Association, regarding innovation. What role does BTMEA see in fostering technological and process innovation within Bangladesh's textile sector, and how can this contribute to positioning Bangladesh as a leader in global apparel market? So is there any initiative that BTMEA is taking to foster product development and product innovation, which will add value to our overall RMG export growth?
Okay. I don't know if you're aware, we are running an university under Dhaka University. It's called PPP, Private Public, whatever. And when we took over this university, we had only 50 students. And now we have more than 2,000 students. They're all textile graduates coming up every year. And to address your innovation, this is one of the steps we have taken. It's not a small step. We have given them lab equipments. We have given them all the tools that they need to find out what is next, what could be done next. And our factories on individual capacity, we're also developing new designs. And our buyers, they're telling us to do these, jute textile, this textile. We're always innovating something. But yes, institution like NITER, which I have spoken, and other in Tejgaon and all, given some initiatives and given some benefits to them, and some concentration from the government, we can do much better. And like I said, on individual capacity, we're all working together. At times, factories together, we work. Like my factory works with your factory, right? So it's a process, never-ending process. It will continue, and I hope we can do better. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, now when we talk about product innovation, product development, and of course, we push our customers to take more value-added product, diversified product. Now, my next question would be to Zia Bhai. From H&M's perspective, what type of value-added products or niche segment should Bangladesh apparel industry prioritize to differentiate itself from competitors? Usually we know that Bangladesh is strong in certain product category, but as H&M is a global retailer and you're sourcing from different countries, which product you see that Bangladesh has a potential which we are not doing, or we are not big, or in terms of capacity or in terms of development, we are not still giving that emphasis, but you see as a global retailer, we have that potential to increase market share in that product category?
Thank you, Tanvir Bhai. I will not answer you directly, a little diplomatically, but you will find my answer. That is the reason why I'm saying. So I was Googling actually that what is the total global apparel market size in the world, and it says $1.7 trillion. Is that big? Okay, then of course we are a manufacturer here, and that goes roughly around $837 billion. And this is the Google. And if you put over there how much Bangladesh is doing, 43 to 44, let's say, we have some controversial here and there, but that's a number we have. So I think we have a lot of things to do. Quite often we say, and I think we are not quite often, I think we're very proud about it that we are the second largest manufacturer in the world. But comparing who is number one in front of that is a very big difference. I think the second and the third is like neck to neck with us to Vietnam to Cambodia. But with the number one is a very big difference. I think we should ask the question over there. What they are doing which we are not doing. I think that's why I didn't answer you that which product type. There is a lot of, I think, every brand has their potential and, the trade way of doing things. So that's why I will not tell. But then I will look into the BGME data also. This 42 or 43 billion dollars that we ship, 73 or 74% comes from 5 category. It also tells something. What are the other category, we don't do it. And then you just take average price. Okay, how much of it below $2 product? It's a simple math. You put a normal intern, maybe a business analyst, they will make it. It's that simple. And then we do it. Okay, now, how it happened, because if you look at the beginning of this year, how Bangladesh grown, usually the buyers comes here. I was a merchandiser at the time, that we have been asked by the buyers, go to the hotel lobby. After breakfast, they come to the lobby, they decide basically. Some of them sit a room, and this is how it is started. So that's why quite often we hear that, please tell us what to do. Okay, I think if we shift the narrative here, that okay, what I am not doing, which of the area I'm not touching, I think the answer lies a lot. I hope you understand.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, we of course know that we have a lot of scope, or we have a lot of potential in other product category in apparel. But at the same time, we see that even in export, as Bangladesh, 85% is apparel out of our total export basket. We have so much more potential to actually increase our export basket. I mean, we have so much potential in other product category as well. My next question would be to Mr. Abhishek, is that now, as you rightly said, Lidl is a company where you have only 10 to 11% apparel.
Lesser than that, 10 to 11% non-food. Apparel, maybe 1 to 2%.
Yeah. So you have a diverse product basket, where Bangladesh probably is not catering to all of your product category. Now my question to you is, what steps Bangladesh should take to diversify its product offering and meet the evolving demand of international retailers like Lidl?
Thank you, Tanveer Bhai, for this question. I've been at Lidl for 1.5 years. Before this experience, I would certainly not have been qualified to answer your question. But now I am, right? So what we do out of Bangladesh, other than apparels, is we do a lot of household plastics out of Bangladesh. We work with our very good partners, Pran RFL and Bengal Plastics, right? So we do food contact, food storage containers. We do toys, some plastic toys, right? And we do some gardening equipment, right? So for plastics, we have some of the largest installed injection capacity and extrusion capacity in Bangladesh. Now, like forever, we don't have the raw material, so we need to import the raw material. Now, this again, plastics is a business which is very dependent on mold making, right? So what we don't really have in Bangladesh is a history of metalwork, casting, forging, rolling. So all our molds need to be imported out of China, right? Logistics has improved, but we do not want to be dependent on China or India to send us the molds, right? And even with plastics, we then want to move on to the next step. We want to combine electronics with plastics, right? So we want, I think with our partners, and especially with Pran RFL, right, we have this idea that we can go further. Other than that, we should also look at something which are near to textiles. I think Helanga will confirm me on this. So Bangladesh is a world leader in tents, and Tanveer Bhai coming all out of Chittagong, right? So a world leader in tents. Now here, the problem is that the supply chain extends out of China, right? The raw material comes from China. We are doing the stitching. We are doing the heavy lifting part, but the value addition is lower, right? So when we bring more man-made fibers into our supply chain, so we do more of the value addition in Bangladesh. The next is, of course, luggage. Big, 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 right? We already have the pioneers, right? So we, suitcases, hard shell, soft shell, backpacks. Now this is business that we know. This is business that we're good at. This is process oriented. And I think Bangladesh Bangladeshis have this inbuilt idea of process, right? Industrialized workforce who turn up to work every day. I mean, in terms of all of this, what we have seen, this sometimes disturbing and sometimes a very natural part of a process, people are actually asking for attendance bonuses. If I reflect at Indian factories, you cannot pay them to come to work every day, right? You can pay them all the money in the world and they won't turn up for work every day. Here, people actually want to turn up for work, and that's what impresses me. So backpacks, plush toys, right? So again, a lot of stitching, a lot of filling in. So, and this is where perhaps Lange comes in with his expertise, because in Europe, there already exists a lot of industrialized processes. We don't need to learn everything new. Things can be replicated, right? So wherever we have a process of assembly, due to our considering our workforce as a human resource, we would have an advantage. But it would need foresight, and it would need a larger number of players to come in. Like perhaps you guys to come in at a certain point of time and think of diversification, right? And be bold enough to do it. Because if you can do it you start with the high end and then you come down when you become more efficient. Porcelain, I think H&M has some participation in porcelain, right? So tableware, porcelain. So the possibilities are endless, but we have never been growing. So, yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's great to know that Bangladesh is also growing its export market in other product category. Now, my obvious question would be to Mr. Lange after this discussion that, what is GIZ doing in vocational training and other areas to support overall export of Bangladesh in terms of improvement of employment standard, vocational training, and other initiatives? How GIZ is playing the role? In RMG, of course, we know, but what about the non-RMG sectors?
Yeah, if you look at the export basket, whether 45 or 50 or less, let's say 45 billion, the next is far, far away. It's 1.5 is the shoe sector, having a lot of textile uppers. But the first material which comes to everyone's mind is leather. And I think leather is still a huge potential. Some people are talking about 5 billion. But the leather quality, and quality in that sense includes the way of tanning, the working conditions, is not according to the leather working group, the global standard, which is the minimum you have to fulfill to export. The major challenge is the effluent treatment plant in the Shavaa industrial area. It's more or less an open secret. If you bring international experts judging the value of what you can see there, they are talking about maybe 20 million, but 75 million have been spent. I remember a discussion with one of the former European ambassadors. I just returned from a field visit and I was so emotionally touched in seeing this area, and I bent over to him and said, "Have you ever been there?" And he said, "Yes." "Don't touch it. It's China." Okay, so once this problem is solved, I think there is a huge potential. Bangladesh has the rawhides with other countries need to import. So value creation in the country, especially value creation, is not only 5 billion export, it's the value creation element of this industry. Okay, environmental compliance seems the most complicated one. We are currently supporting the social compliance, meaning improving the working conditions in tanneries to be at least ready to fulfill the leather working group standards in that area. I personally still believe in possibilities to solve the main challenge. Some people say it is not so expensive. And if you put the investment, whether 20 or 25 or even 75 million against the potential of 5 billion, it should be feasible. So the only question is who should which partners should be orchestrated and supported. And I personally hope that the new government will, let's say, create the momentum that we can make a big step forward. In addition, we are already extending our positive outcomes of projects in the garment sector to the leather sector. To give an example, we are very proud that together with the ILO, the Netherlands, Denmark, and EU, we are successfully introducing the Employment Injury Protection Scheme. And more or less on a voluntary basis, the leather sector approached us, the associations, or the association, LFMEAB, asking whether they could join this project, which originally was aiming at the ready-made garment sector. And we have a similar approach when it comes to the RSC. I think this is another really masterpiece which has been created between all stakeholders. So there are strong positive signs to follow the logic, comply and fly. And I think if this applies for other industries, there's huge room for improvement.
Thank you. Thank you. So as you were saying that, of course, there is a lot of initiatives from development partners and also private sector. But now we would also like to know from the government that what strategic initiatives is Export Promotion Bureau implementing to boost Bangladesh position. Now, as we know that RMG is very strong, now what initiatives is EPB taking to boost other product category and at the same time to diversify our market base? As we know that Bangladesh is close to graduation, so we also need to look at a lot of FTAs, and also we need to increase the export product basket. So what are the initiative government is taking, if you can elaborate on that? Thank you.
Thank you, Tanvi. So first of all, I mean, probably most of the people will be surprised to know that we have exporting like 750 items or products. We have 750 products in our export basket, though a very limited one. RMG itself is actually contributing to 82-83%. And Werner said rightly that afterwards, I mean, the second one is not only leather. I mean, home textile is also another more than 1 billion. Yeah. But for export, I mean, first of all, export diversification is our first major key strategy. And for export diversification, we are considering the product as well as the market. If you see nowadays EPB discussing with the Ministry of Commerce, we are focusing more on like non-traditional market like Africa, Latin America, CIS market, like East Asian market, where we have huge potential. If you see our export, main destination is Europe and USA and Canada, North American. So, and if you see the trend, over the last few years, we have seen that the export in other than like non-EU and non-USA, it is growing. Like, it's growing, but not enough. I mean, it should be there. So, market is more important issue, and that's why EPB has that fund from the government to support, our SMEs, our potential export item to, organize fair to display over there or to facilitate their marketing. So we are focusing more on participating in the trade fairs that is happening in non-traditional market like Africa, Latin America, and other places. So innovation is another important area, and we are actually having lots of dialogue with the business, I mean the trade bodies, particularly with the SMEs, that how we can support in the product development, what kind of expertise we need, and sometimes we also deal with our development partner and trying to bridge out that how the technology or, knowledge could be transferred for the industry. And his skills, productivity skills that are very important area that we are facilitating training as EPB. Strategically, we are also focusing more on, logistics. If you see the logistics at the pattern of our cost, logistics is actually very costly here. If we can reduce the cost, and in some cases, in a study we found that almost 30% in some sector, that like 30%, more than 30% cost actually incurred because of poor logistics. So even if we can save 10%, that would be give huge competitiveness to the sector. So logistics policy, we are already government developed the logistics policy, and we are trying to pursue, like we are dealing with our air freight cargo handler, our freight forwarder associations, and our shippers, so that, and sometimes if we also, EPB also conducting a study that how we can save the lead time. And we found that we discussed with the leather sector, we discussed with the manufacturing, textile manufacturing sector, that almost their manufacturing time is almost similar to their Vietnam or China, our competitor, but the lead time, the goods in and goods out from the country, there is some processes that actually we can, if we can rightly intervene and you can, simplify the process, business process, we can save time. So it also, for that, we are also dealing with the National Board of Revenue, NBR. So these kind of initiatives EPB are doing, or trying to pursue. And finally, I would say, the two more important issues that not only export, for the garment exporter, but EPB is also undertook a very important policy intervention for the partial exporter. If you see some sector like furniture, some sector like, they have domestic market as well as they also export. So our policy, we are planning to, we are having discussion with the NBR, how we can give support to the partial exporter. For the export, how they can be, they can have like duty-free raw material import, like the garment industry at the earliest stage, or still now they are enjoying this kind of support. But since our garment is a little different because they have 100% export, but for the partial exporter, they have like 50 or 60% their local market and 40 or 30% is their export market. So that is little challenging for the NBR, but we are trying to pursue that how their export for the raw materials could be imported as duty free. So that would be, if we can implement, that would be game changer for our export. Definitely that our export will, I believe that within 3 years time it will be a 3-digit figure, $1 billion, it means $3 billion. Finally, I would say that FDI is the critical, most important part for export boosting is FDI. There is no other way, and here we actually, for some reason, I don't know, but we could not attract our, foreign investor. Though we all the time we tell that our, investment environment is very friendly, our ecosystem is quite good, but still we could not attract like other competitors like Vietnam. If you see it, they export like $460 billion and mostly with the FDI driven export. So for FDI, we need to really seriously think about it, and we need to collectively work. All the stakeholders needs to work together. Thank you so much.
Pardon me for speaking Bengali. আমি এখন কথা হচ্ছে প্রোডাক্ট ডাইভার্সিফিকেশন নিয়ে। Anwar Bhai has very rightly, in a very short time, figured out problemটা কোথায়। যেখানে আমাদের 30% ম্যানমেড ফাইবারের এক্সপোর্ট হচ্ছে আর ওয়ার্ল্ড রিকোয়ারমেন্ট হচ্ছে 70%, আমি কটনেই বসে আছি। কারণটা কি? এটার কারণ হচ্ছে পলিসি। আমরা একটা ফাইবার প্ল্যান্ট করি, যেটাতে বটল ক্র্যাশ করে আপনার ফাইবার হবে। তো আমার র মেটেরিয়াল কি? প্লাস্টিক বোতল। তো আমি টিপু মুন্সির কাছে গেলাম, মন্ত্রী, যে আমি প্ল্যান্ট তো বসায় ফেলছি, 1,20,000 স্কোয়ার ফিটের প্ল্যান্ট, ওখানে বটল ক্র্যাশ করবে, ফাইবার হবে। ফাইবারটা কি? টেক্সটাইল ফাইবার। আজ অবধি আমি কোনো ইম্পোর্ট পারমিশন পাইলাম না। এখন তাইলে বলেন এইসব মন্ত্রী মিনিস্টার দিয়ে আমরা করবো কি? ওদের দুইটা জিনিসের হয়তো অভাব আছে, একটা হয়তো সৎসাহসিকতা, অথবা তাদের মধ্যে অসৎ জিনিস কাজ করে। এইসব কারণে আমাদের এই সেক্টরটা এখন পর্যন্ত ফ্লারিশ করে নাই। আমি ইপিবি আনোয়ার সাহেবের সাথে খুব ক্লোজলি কাজ করছি বেশ কিছু আইটেম নিয়ে। প্লাস্টিক ইজ ফিউচার, ইউ হ্যাভ রাইটলি অলসো পয়েন্টেড আউট। বাংলাদেশে 16 কোটি মানুষের ফ্যামিলিতে 16 কোটি ব্রিফকেস লাগে, সুটকেস লাগে, সবই তো ইম্পোর্ট করতেছেন। কেন আপনি ইম্পোর্ট করবেন? কারণ আপনার কম্পিটিটিভ না, আপনার র মেটেরিয়ালের উপর ট্যাক্স বসে রাখছে অথবা ব্যান্ড করে রাখছে, নয়তো বন্ডের একটা প্রবলেম, নয়তো এটার একটা প্রবলেম। আমি আমাদের ভাবমূর্তি নষ্ট করতে চাই না বলে আমি বাংলায় বলছি। তো এইভাবে যদি দেশ চলে, আর আমি যখন মিনিস্ট্রিতে গেছি উনি বললো আমার একটা টিম করে দিচ্ছি, এরা বিদেশে যাবে, দেখবে, এসে আমাকে রিপোর্ট করবে। ওই বিদেশেও যাওয়া হয় নাই, দেখাও হয় নাই, আসলে বেড়ানোর জন্য। এটা তো বেড়াইতে লাগে না, আমি এটাকে ক্রাশ করে ফাইবার করবো, ভিডিও আছে, দেখাই দিচ্ছি। তো এগুলা করলে আসলে দেশের উন্নতি হবে না। এগুলাকে কাঠগোড়ায় আনিয়ে দাঁড়া করাইতে হবে আগামীতে। নাইলে দায়িত্ব নিলা কেন? ফ্যাশন করার জন্য মন্ত্রী হইছ নাকি ফ্ল্যাগ দৌড়ানোর জন্য? আমি এগুলাকে আই উইল নট স্পেয়ার দেম ইনশাল্লাহ, আল্লাহ যদি আমাকে বাঁচায় রাখে, আর আপনারা যদি সাহস দেন এই সবগুলোকে, এই তাদের এই অসৎ সবগুলোকে কাঠগোড়ায় আনাবো ইনশাল্লাহ। ধন্যবাদ। সরি আমি একটু হয়ে গেলাম। এই সেক্টরটা এত রাইটলি আনোয়ার ভাই আপনি ধরছেন, এটা কিন্তু ফিউচার সেক্টর।
Quick, Russell Bhai, I had a discussion probably month or so, I mean long back, I mean month ago. বাংলায় বলি, ওনাই আমাদের বিজনেস লিডাররা চমৎকার বলে, আসলে তারা জানে। পয়েন্ট হচ্ছে দিন শেষে আমরা একটা সরকারি কেরানি ক্লার্ক, আমাদের ফাইলে লিখতে হয়, পলিসি বানাইতে হয়। ওই যে জিনিসটা লেখার জন্য ওরা আমাদের একটা জিনিসটা দিবে ইনপুট। এখন এই যে রাসেল ভাইয়ের সামনেই বলি, উনি আজকে 1.5 মাস 1 মাস সময় পায়নি। আমি বলছি ভাই বসেন, আমাকে একটু লিখে দেন বা বলেন, আমার লোক বসুক। এখন উনি ব্যস্ততার মধ্যে আসেন অবশ্যই, কিন্তু আসলে আমাদের কাজ কালেকটিভলি কাজ করতে হবে। আমি তো চাই অল দ্য টাইম আমি অ্যাভেলেবল, অ্যাক্সেসিবল, আপনারা জানেন। আমি আসেন, যে কোনো আইডিয়া, নতুন আইডিয়া আমি চেষ্টা করবো অল দ্য টাইম। ইনশাল্লাহ।
Thank you. Yeah, so you want to add something?
Ja, ich habe das alles verstanden, aber ich möchte noch eine Ergänzung machen. Yeah, I got everything, I guess, but if you start the plastic endeavor, think it's circular from the very beginning.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was a wonderful discussion. Before we go to our we go to the final note from Your Excellency, I would like to open the floor and ask some questions. If there is any question from you, I have one question from Rajiv Bhai of Allure Sourcing. He is a very successful entrepreneur. You want to ask the question yourself, or should I?
Thank you. It's a pleasure meeting with Mr. Anwar and everyone. Thank you, everyone. My question is very relevant, okay, for garment industry, especially in this year, 2024. We have faced 3 times labor unrest. January 2024, in July, August, and now ongoing. If you look at Bangladesh from the customer perspective, they are facing these constant delivery lates and financial impacts on their business. And it's losing the trust on the country. I would like to know what immediate measures, that means short term and a long term strategy to solve this problem, so that it does not give a signal to the Western customers who are buying our goods and they have a major stakes. that it will not happen, it will not continue. I think Bangladesh is having this negative perception on this situation. And I can tell you that you might see the impact after 4 months or 6 months down the line. So all we are talking about green factories, sustainable initiatives, what do you call it, the circularity, everything will not be successful if we cannot drive this together. So it is a very important time. And I would like to know from Mr. Anwar, he's also in the government as well as now leading the BGMEA. What would actually be taking a quick initiative to solve this, to have a constructive dialogue between the entrepreneurs and the workers, to give a signal to the customers that there is somebody who is taking care. You look at the last 15 days or 1 month problem, it's constantly going till today it is going. What do we say to our customer? What do we say to our major stakeholder? If you can kindly say. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. I mean, it's very relevant, pertinent, but as well as very challenging question for me because I am a civil servant. I am not actually industry people. But so far I understand what we are actually planning to do. I mean, longer solution is that there should be, what I said earlier, that there should be mutual responsible behavior from both three parties like union, buyers, and definitely industry. But what we are actually, watching right now on the TV or medias, that is sometimes a little exaggeration, definitely. I mean, I have the distress. So far, if the distress is correct, as I am receiving from the BGME, out of like 2,500 factories, 4 or 5 factories have a problem. And not a single factory. I mean, when I joined as administrator in the last 21st October, there are some 3, 4 factories were having problem with the wage issue. I mean, non-payment of their salary, due salary actually. As of now, I mean, today there is no any factory that they are struggling for, no unrest because of salary payment or delays. Issues are little, non-industry issues are also there. So far we are having or receiving some intelligence. That is definitely is little disturbing for the buyers, international media. I told you sometimes 4 or 5 factories out of like 2,500, this is highlighted in the media, and sometimes it looks like little purposefully is being displayed over there. But I really understand that from the buyer's perspective, from the brand perspective, that is really challenging for them. They have business plan, definitely delays of shipment is also costly for them. They have transaction cost, they have financial cost. And in the short term, what we are doing, we are having constant dialogue with the union leaders, with the law enforcing agencies, with our entrepreneurs. If there is any legitimate demand, we are trying to breathe out. But we are also having some dialogue with our brand buyers forum. Day after tomorrow, I have invited them to have a discussion on what actually we are planning. And in fact, I mean, though I'm not industry guy, but I would like to give the clear message to the industry that government is not taking over the BGMA, and there was no issues over there. I mean, the change of management, it's a very short-term and transition. I mean, very brief transition will be there, because it is government thought, discussing with the BGME or industry people, that there should be an administrator to have a better BGMA within the next few months. So government is fully with the industry, with the BGME for the betterment, and government also having good interaction, dialogue with the workforce, with the workers. And you are rightly, I mean, I really appreciate your term, like entrepreneur and workers. Most of the people we talk about, like Malik Shramik, owner and labor, I mean, this kind of narrative we have to change. And this also give good, gesture to our workforce, and it is important. And we should have a good, I mean, our industry people should also be more engaged with their, workers and their people, working people. Because many times we find that if you have a good interaction, like strategic partnership, I mean, though it is in broader perspective, Ziabe was mentioning strategic partnership. Strategic partnership not only for business, also for, they can consider them your co-worker as the entrepreneur. If you consider them, and then not necessarily government has to, intervene for negotiating their, wage and, complying the international standard. You also, as a industry leader, industry people, you also have some moral obligation to your community, to your people. So with this note, I think I should stop here. We'll have a further discussions tomorrow, day after tomorrow, and we'll discuss in detail. Thank you.
Thank you, Anwar Bhai. Thank you so much. And now finally, Your Excellency, and Mr. Antonio Alessandro, Your Excellency, your final words and your piece of advice to our entrepreneurs. Now, as we know that the Due Diligence Act and a lot of regulations are coming into being in European Union. So what would be your advice to our sector, RMG sector, and also the export sector to remain competitive and to remain relevant for European Union?
Thank you very much. A very interesting discussion. Was very good for me to hear true experts and have this possibility to say some final words. What advice? First of all, diversification. This is very important because the apparel global market is changing, as you know. The taste, the choices of the consumers are evolving, and therefore the industry has to adapt to these changes, and perhaps, in my view, more than volumes, an upscale should also work on quality and innovation. We have said that, but I want to stress again this point. You have to climb the value chain, and perhaps in the near future, quality and innovation, new materials, new fashionable styles, and of course sustainable production processes will be increasingly more important than volumes. So diversification is a key matter. And another advice is to adapt, raise the standard of the factories and the production system. It's already, I mean, so much progress has been made since the Rana Plaza, and we know that. But the world continues to evolve, and the European market is particularly strict because of the Green Deal and other requirements. So the industry in Bangladesh has to continue to make progress, and this point of workers and unions and wages is relevant. But it should not be only on the shoulders of factories. It should be distributed along the chain. Factories, but also brands and also consumers. Everyone has to pay for a fair salary of the worker in Bangladesh, as in any other place in the world. And maybe a third advice is to to continue to cooperate in harmony between stakeholders and with international partners. There are, I mean, the European Union, for example, has several instruments to support labor standards, innovation, etc. Each member state also has its own instruments. Some has been recalled by my colleague from Germany. So definitely continue to cooperate in an harmonious way is another key advice that I wish to pass to you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. So now with that, we close the session for today. It was a wonderful session. We covered a lot of point of discussion. A lot of areas have been discussed. With RMG, it started with the RMG, of course, but it didn't stay in RMG, and we explored a lot of potential of our export basket. And thank you very much, all the honorable participants and speakers, to be part of this and to give us time. Thank you very much. And with that, we end the session. Thank you. Thank you very much.